Welcome to this product demonstration video where I'll be terminating a Category 6A shielded cable with a Category 6A shielded RJ45 connector. We'll get right into this right now. You want to make sure you have the right supplies. You're going to have basically a crimp tool for your connector. You're going to have a jacket strip tool, a pair of diagonal cutters, preferably a flush cut. A tweaker tool always comes in handy. You want to make sure you have the right supplies. This is the actual how the connector comes packaged. You're going to have a connector body and a load bar. We actually create a field termination kit system that actually works better for this, where we have these two, plus we add 3-to-1 shrink tubing and a piece of copper tape for the ground plane. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate this now with this field termination kit we have here. First thing you want to do is strip the jacket. So we're going to take about 1.5 to 2 inches of jacket off using the minimum strip on this basically cigar cutter stripper. Go ahead and pop your jacket off. The foil shield you see is going to be colored usually. In this case it's blue. That's the non-conductive side facing out to you. I want to remove that shield actually, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of pull it away from the jacket a little bit, and I just nip it at the bottom here, and then it'll just peel right off all the way around. All shielded cables are going to have a drain wire. I'm going to fold the drain wire back. Then you have what we call a binder. This polyester binder keeps all the components together and also protects the inside insulation when they're extruding the jacket. We're going to go ahead and pop that off, same way we did the tape. So now I'm left with my pairs and then the spline in the middle. So I want to get rid of the spline, so I'll fold my pairs out. There's many ways of getting rid of the spline. Some people pull on it and stretch it, cut it, and it snaps back in. I like to do a little like what I call a 45-degree cut on each of these flutes, the little lines here, and then I just spin it and it comes right off. All right, so now I have my pairs ready to basically be untwisted here. A couple ways you can do this. One is, well, let me go to the next step first. I'm going to lock down my drain wire first with the copper tape. So the copper tape gives you a nice 360-degree ground plane all around the jacket. Takes a little bit of practice to get the tape off the backing here. So we're using 3M 1181 copper tape, which has conductive glue. I'm going to go ahead and lay that down, still leaving a little bit of the jacket exposed. I don't want to go all the way past the jacket or else copper tape can cut your insulation. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my excess drain wire now. All right, I'm ready to start untwisting pairs now. So just go ahead and give it a little squeeze and turn to open it up in the bottom. Put your tweaker in there and pull. Has a dual purpose of one, untwisting it, but two, also straightens out the wires pretty nicely. I'm just going to go around and do that with each one. Pull it nice and firm, but don't force it too hard. You don't want to damage anything. All right, once I get all these set up, then I'm going to put them in the right color code. So I'm going to go ahead and put everything in the correct color code here. I'm going to do a 568B color code because that's the normal one that is used for a lot of data type applications. All right, once you have your wires in the right color code, make sure they're nice and straight. The straighter they are, the easier it's going to be to slide this load bar on. So I'm going to get rid of basically cutting it flush across the top here, nice and straight. That way they're all the same. Then I'll take my load bar, and with the cavity side of the load bar, I'm going to go ahead and put this on here and just kind of gently position it, wiggle it so that they fall in. It's kind of a high-low. The pairs kind of slide in here, kind of high-low format. Takes a little bit of practice. So once you get your load bar on, you want to make sure your color code's correct before you slide this down, so make sure it's still in the right color code. When you put this on, you want to make sure you keep lateral pressure on the load bar like this. The reason why is they can bow outwards and break. We do include 5 extra load bars in our kit, so in case you break one. But I'm going to go ahead and slide this down and get as close to the jacket as possible. Making sure my color code stays correct the whole way. Go ahead and trim this off flush. And now my connector, I want to prep it for this. I want to fold basically the ground clamp away 90 degrees to give me room to move. And then I'm going to go ahead and ovalize my jacket here. I'm going to use a pair of pliers and just kind of gently squeeze it to ovalize it. And the reason why is the height here has to fit into the connector body. And then I'm going to slide this in and then very firmly seated all the way in. Just nice and firm. Then I want to look at the front of the connector. Jeweler's loop comes in handy for this, or magnifying glass, but you want to look at the front of the connector and make sure all the copper is seated. So if you can see copper in all your ports there, and they're all seated all the way, you're good to go. You can also validate your color code one last time. So in this case, this is correct. Everything's good. I'm going to go ahead and crimp it with my crimp tool. Little hint about these crimp tools. You put it in, make sure it's seated fully in all the way, and then crimp and hold for a count of 1/1000, then release. And now inspect your basically contacts here to make sure that they're all seated fully. There's none popped up or anything like that. And if that's good, you can go ahead and basically tuck your ground clamp around, form it to fit. You can use a tool for this, or you can use your fingers, either one. And then the last step on this connector is to go ahead and do the shrink tubing. I'm going to go ahead and slide the shrink tubing up. It is 1/2-inch shrink tubing, so it's a little tight on the connector, but just kind of slide up to the end here. Take your heat gun, and be careful with your heat application. You want to go get it nice and warm first, and just very gently shrink that down. The benefit to this shrink tubing on the shielded connectors is you can't find too many boots to fit cable this big, is one. And two, the boots you do find kind of slide up and just kind of hang on the connector. They're not really a true strain relief. So this 3-to-1 shrink tubing gives you an incredibly strong strain relief. So it's like, just forms like a boot and stuff, and doesn't, not snagless unfortunately, but it does make it very strong. It also gives you a small space for tight bends and stuff like that. But this is a Category 6A shielded cable, fully terminated and ready to go.